Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Insadei, and in today's video I'll be talking about how I fake being a good artist. In this video you understand why I feel like I'm a bad artist even though I create art like this, and this. I develop major imposter syndrome when I get praised for my skill, talent, or creativity. If it's for a specific art that I have created, I accept compliments with a sense of pride that I have created something good and I've done a fantastic job. But if someone begins to praise and compliment my creativity or skill, what comes to mind are those moments where I struggle with my creativity and when I feel like my skill were less than adequate. An example is this recent drawing that I am struggling to complete, and to be honest, I don't think I will because I don't like it. It's not turning out good. It reveals to me my weakness in landscapes. Guys, I'm still trying to battle landscapes. When I see artists online talking about they're struggling with portraits. Their landscapes are perfect and amazing, but they struggle with portraits. I'm like, can we exchange skills? Because landscapes are a nightmare to draw. Yeah, I still can't draw trees to save my life. And no brush will save me. Like, I've tried using brushes and it doesn't look good. References. One of the greatest tools that actually helped me to improve my art is references. I know I talk about references quite a lot, but they are truly the best way to adequately represent people and things, either in an artistic representation. What I mean by that is, like, let's say stylization, for example, or even realism. 100% of my art relies on references, even at a minuscule amount. Like, all the drawings that you see on my Instagram, social media, wherever, even if it looks as original as they look, most of the time I rely on references to complete them. Even if it's a simple sketch, I feel like I have to rely on references to complete them. If you know my process as a concept artist, you will know that even for art that looks like it's solely for my imagination, I have gathered at least 5 references, sometimes even 20, depending on the complexity of the idea or the concept. And for studies, maybe just one is enough because I'm just studying a particular photograph or pose. But you see, this is where the imposter syndrome starts to creep in, because sometimes I feel like I shouldn't have to rely on references for things I'm familiar with. I've been doing portraits for a very, very long time, and I would think that very long time meaning 4 years. And I would think that by now I would be able to draw portraits from my imagination. And sometimes I'm able to do that, but sometimes I struggle with it a lot. And I just find myself relying on references to perfect a portrait. So even if I've done a good portrait for my imagination, I still feel like to make it as perfect as it can be, I need to, go to a reference and just see how the eyelids, for example, or the lips, for example, especially the eyelids, really, how they look from different angles. That will help me to create a more realistic portrayal of the eyes. Even though sometimes I feel like I shouldn't have to do that, I rely on it very heavily. And it doesn't help that the artists I compare myself with are at least 10 years in the industry. and most of which don't need as much help as I need to execute my ideas. So obviously they're not going to need as much help as I do, because the experience is basically what is holding them up. But I've been in the art industry for less than 5 years. In fact, I just started doing professional art about 2 years now, and I keep comparing myself to all these talented artists that have been in the industry for 10 plus years. People like Rush Draws, Loish. I keep comparing myself to them, and it's very important to aspire to become artists that are better than you, obviously. But when you start to compare your skill with them, that can also affect the way you think about your art and make you think that you're actually a bad artist when you're not. They probably went through the same thing that you're going through, but the mind is so destructive sometimes, and it can play with the way you think. But it's actually fine. Like, I just need to remember that this artist probably went through the same thing I'm going through now, and it will pass in the end. Like, I cannot be comparing my skill now to their skill, to a skill that they've developed for more than 10 years. It doesn't make sense, really. Those are people that I will refer to as my boss and people that I will take direction from. So why am I comparing my skill and my work to them? It doesn't really make sense. As someone who used social media as a form of motivation to get good, I used to post all my work on Instagram, obsessing over regular posting and production of art. It was important for me to perfect every drawing I make. No room for error, no room for mistakes, because we know what happens if there's mistake and error. If there's imperfection in an Instagram post, Instagram will not share it with people. So I was really obsessed with posting perfect drawings, which in turn led to lack of creativity, multiple ad blocks, and redundancy in my work. I found that I was creating the same type of thing all the time. Photo study portraits, photo study portraits, photo study portraits, photo studies, photo studies, photo studies. And it became boring. I needed a new strategy, a new motivation. I created more bad art because of this, but now I have allowed my creativity to blossom, and I am eager to learn new skills as I was as a beginner. If you look at some of my drawings that I've done this year, a lot of them have been less than perfect, like really, really bad drawings that I don't want them to see the light of day. And it just shows that, like, I feel like in general my skills have definitely improved, but there are some of those days where, like, you start to ask yourself, can I draw even? Because my skill is so below my capacity. And when those days happen, I just have to give myself a time off, give myself a break, and maybe go back to tutorials, learn from other artists, and learn from my mistakes, and try again. And usually it turns out good. And sometimes I try to develop that concept again, or I just go on to another project and think of another idea. If I can't draw a specific thing at the moment, then it just shows that I need to develop my skills to be able to draw them later. So at this stage of my art career, I feel like I'm not really focused on the numbers and getting people to see my art on social media. I still post on social media, but that's not my main motivation at the moment. My main motivation is to just get good and get work from the art industry, because at the end of the day, social media is not what brings food to my table. So I had to prioritize what was more important to me: getting big following, big numbers, or improving my skills. And I chose improving my skills because that is the ultimate goal for myself. What makes an artist a great one? It is not their failures, but their masterpieces, the one that they show the world. Thank you so much for watching and have a lovely day. See you next time. Bye.